Let's talk about Spreaker. The question is it great for podcasting this year? And let's talk about the pros, the cons, the platform, everything, the pricing also. So here's an overview I want you to pay attention to. So I first want to give you a little bit of history. So Spreaker actually started in 2010. And so what we love about Spreaker is that they are able to combine all forms of functionalities that in the end help you as a podcaster create, distribute, monetize, and measure your podcasting performance. So this is really good. So think about this tool as a 360 podcasting tool that allows you to actually create, host, distribute, and most importantly, monetize with some kind of analytical strategy. In other words, Spreaker is getting better every single day when it comes to the analytics part of things. So you are able to measure what kind of performance you have with your podcasting. Okay, and so when you think about Spreaker, think about a 360 podcasting tool, an all-in-one podcasting tool. So everything goes from everything from ideation to execution. You are able to do this through Spreaker. We also love the fact that they have a price transparency. I mean, a lot of podcasting hosts or podcasting platforms, they like to play around and really sort of confuse viewers and confuse customers or prospects with when it comes to pricing. But Spreaker is really straightforward, and I'll talk to you more about their pricing later on. And we also love the fact that they are constantly updating their platform. Okay, not only are they covering all the bases, but they are constantly updating their platform, and their UX is great, their UI is great, user experience, user interface is really great, and we love the fact that they're constantly also reaching out to their customers, their community. They have a pretty strong community out there, so this is really great. So when you think about Spreaker, think about a tool that's great for mid-range podcasters with a bigger budget to spend. It's not that cheap. I mean, it's not really cheap, but it's not that expensive either. So you are like right there in the middle, okay? And so think about a 360 podcasting tool. So you can do everything from Spreaker because it is a full stack solution for audio publishing and podcasting. You are able to you can make money from day one. So unlike other platforms, Spreaker doesn't set thresholds for audience numbers or other metrics. So you can start monetizing straight away. And also you have ad injection and ad exchange. Really fantastic. By the way, boss, welcome back to the show. It's really a pleasure to have you here. Make yourself comfortable. You are going to enjoy today's conversation. Let me give you a few pro tips if you are thinking about Spreaker. How do you think about Spreaker in terms of their hosting capabilities? How do you actually choose, or whether should you choose Spreaker? First of all, you want to look at the pricing. So whether you are a beginner or a pro, pricing is a big consideration when it comes to choosing a hosting platform, that's for sure, right? So you want to really look at Spreaker's hosting. You want to look at the pricing, how the hosting actually interrelates with the pricing, how the pricing rather interrelates to the hosting. That's really important for the long run because see, when you start your hosting platform, you do not want to really think about pricing in the long run because for you to scale, you have to be able to have to rely on a tool that is, I would say, financially sort of compatible with your strategy. And you also think about the analytics, okay? So you want to really understand that analytics are the key to understanding how your podcast is performing. So you want to make sure that Spreaker is giving you the level of detailed data and insights that you deserve. And you also want to make sure that the analytics are integrated, easy to understand, and really ready to be actionable. You want to make sure that Spreaker gives you a media player. So that's very important because when you are in Spreaker, media player is important because you want to have an embeddable podcast media player that's helping you share your podcast directly to your own site. You do not want to have to go through plugins, through integrations, through third-party apps, and so on and so forth. No, do not do this. And some podcasters, based on our experience, prefer to offer their audiences their content separate to dedicated listening platforms. That's actually fine too, but you want to have this sort of media player capability. You also want to think about Spreaker as a tool that helps you with file hosting. So you want to, and again, I'm talking about all kinds of files though. You know, compatible file formats can really affect the maximum quality of your audio. So you want to make sure that you are able to work with all kinds of files. Also distribution. This is one area where Spreaker really shines. So you are able to host and distribute. So you want to focus on how easy Spreaker is for podcasters to get their podcast out onto the major listening platforms. It's just really fantastic. And also monetization, of course. You need to make money. You need to get that cash coming over and over and over. That's how you are going to keep the whole thing consistently delivering over time. So this is just fantastic. By the way, boss, I want to quickly welcome you, but also remind you of today's topic. We are having a conversation about Spreaker. This is the Spreaker review. So let's talk about the cost. As I told you before, you can see this on the screen. As I told you before, basically, Spreaker is pretty transparent when it comes to pricing. We love that a lot. So you can see that their pricing is very clear, is very straightforward. They don't play games. I mean, some platforms play games when it comes to pricing, but Spreaker doesn't do that. So we love that a lot. And again, that makes sense because they're part of a reputable company. So they're part of iHeartMedia, and iHeartMedia, as you know, is one of the largest U.S. Media companies in the States, or even in the world for that matter. So with Spreaker, they have 4 plans. They have the free speech, the broadcaster, the broadcaster. They have the anchorman and the publisher. Now, the free speech is not really worth it. I mean, you can try it. It gives you the ability to see how Spreaker really works. But if you're serious about podcasting, if you're serious about podcast hosting, and if you're serious about scalability, you really want to go with either the anchorman or the broadcaster. Okay, this is really now if you have a large community already, a large viewership, a lot of audioship, and you want to really scale it even further, then you go with the publisher. But this is really for all the bigger podcast hosts out there. So when you think about free speech, think about a pricing plan that gives you unlimited episodes, automatic uploading to Spotify, iHeart, and Apple Podcasts. You have customizable RSS feeds, ad monetization, recording and live broadcasting, only one podcast, and you have 6 months statistics for your podcast. For the broadcaster, you have the same as the free speech plus enhanced private podcast. You have more advanced statistics. You have 12-month stats, unlimited podcast, and subscription in Apple Podcasts. The Anchorman, you have all the tools that are in the broadcaster plan, plus a collaboration feature with unlimited collaborators. You have full statistics reports, customizable player colors, and you have 12-month stats. And the publisher, that's really costing you $250 a month. This includes all the features of the Anchor plan, plus campaign manager to traffic your own ads. You have 24-month stats, and you have priority customer support. Okay, so this is really worth it. So really, what the catch is with the Spreaker is that it's basically that you can't access most of its core features unless you pay. So the free speech is kind of cool, but you are not going to be able to access the beneficial features. I mean, and the thing is, if you're looking for unlimited hosting, you have to actually pay for the most premium subscription, the $250 or the $50, the one that costs you either the Anchorman at $50 per month or the publisher at $250 per month. Okay, so this can be really high. And also, one thing I want to say here is that Spreaker takes a 35 to 40% cut of your ad revenue per impression, which is quite a big percentage when you really think about it. Let's talk about the pros and cons of a Spreaker. So first of all, when you think about Spreaker, the pros are that you have an all-in-one podcasting tool. You have a tool that adapts to your style of podcasting. You have varied pricing plans, as you can probably see that the pricing plan is really transparent. We love that. The pricing transparency is really there. You have a tool that's very easy to use. You have quick distribution and promotion. You have a team-friendly sort of tool that's really fantastic. You have a software platform that is compatible with lossless file formats. You have integrated monetization for certain plans, of course. You have embeddable and customizable media players, so we love that a lot. You have in-depth analytics. So the thing is that when you think about Spreaker, I want you to think about an all-in-one software program, and the software program is really backed by a conglomerate, a U.S. media company that's really great, iHeartMedia. So this is really cool already. And what we love about the Spreaker, most importantly, is that you are able to have a tool that adapts to your style of podcasting. Okay, so the agility of Spreaker to adapt to different styles of podcasting is also a huge plus. You can choose to record on the go using Podcast Studio, the mobile app. You can record with guests using the Skype integration, using the Skype Studio, or work with pre-recorded audio. And you also have, we also love the fact that you have quick distribution. So Spreaker makes distributing your podcast as easy as one click. So you can publish your major podcast on, your podcast rather, on major listening platforms, such as you have Apple Podcasts, you have iHeartMedia. So iHeartRadio is there. You have Spotify, you have Google, and Amazon. So the choice is really yours. And so let's talk about the cons here. Remote recording is not an integrated feature as of now. There is no video podcasting for now. You need to pay to access the full features, and podcast subscriptions are not an integrated feature. You also need to pay for audio transcription. Live stream functionality right now is kind of limited. And so when you think about Spreaker, you have a tool that is not entirely browser-based. So if you're looking for a browser-based sort of tool, Spreaker is not the tool for you. And you also have clunky recording and limited editing workflow in some cases. So this is one of those things where they have to work on their Spreaker CMS. And so it's one of those things where sometimes the Spreaker CMS, the desktop app, and the mobile app can feel extremely clunky. By the way, boss, I want to quickly remind you of today's topic. We are having a conversation about Spreaker. This is a Spreaker review. Let's talk about the features that you really will love if you want to go with Spreaker. Now, the thing is that when you are in podcasting, you understand that timing is important. You also understand that the quality of the audio and the video are also, this quality is also important. So when you think about, when you actually have Spreaker, you have live podcast and real-time chat. You have Spreaker Prime. You have a programmatic ads, but this is only available on Spreaker Prime. You have social auto sharing. And so this is really cool. Let's quickly go a little bit in detail here. So when you have live podcast and real-time chat, if you have downloaded Spreaker Studio onto your computer or mobile, you can live broadcast audio at any time. You can go live to Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, or iHeartRadio. So this is really cool. And the cool thing is that depending on your subscription plan, your broadcast may be really a party to a time limit in terms of the number of hours you can actually host. Okay, during your live stream, you can communicate and engage directly with your listeners via the chat function. This is really also cool, which really creates this sort of I would say social awareness. And also, you can also add different elements to your broadcast, such as sound effects. And for Spreaker Prime, if you've got more than 5,000 monthly downloads, then you are eligible for Spreaker Prime. You'll get access to the automatic ad insertion tool that automatically inserts ads into downloaded episodes, as well as stitching them into on-demand streaming. You maintain total control over the ads through the CMS. And let's talk about programmatic ads. And programmatic ads actually are linked to Spreaker's ad exchange, where ads are bought and sold. And Spreaker takes the stress out of your hands by leveraging their dynamic ad insertion software and very own built-in programmatic marketplace. And they ensure, as far as possible, to leave none of your content unfilled. And this is really good. In the US, for instance, what we have seen based on our experience, based on our research, they have close to 100% ad fill rate. This is just fantastic. So through the CMS, you actually have, you can connect your social platforms and enable auto social sharing. So this helps you really, when you think about it, automate your promotion and marketing process and ensures that your followers are the first people to know about your new uploads. So when you think about Spreaker, I want you to think about a tool that's best for semi-pro podcasters with a bigger budget, because the tool is not cheap. I mean, you probably noticed that. So let's talk about the setup here. So when you think about Spreaker, what kind of setup should you really think about? Let's first look at Spreaker as a CMS and Spreaker Studio dashboard. Okay, so and this is only available on the for the desktop, of course. The Spreaker CMS. So when you first make an account and log into Spreaker, you are taken directly to the CMS, or content management system, and you can think of this as your central dashboard where you have an overview of your podcast, analytics, monetization, campaigns, promotion, and more. The left-hand panel allows you to navigate to all of this various tabs. So you have so when you first open the app, you see your drafts, if you have any. And on the bottom panel, you can navigate to your podcast, your recording studio, your podcast analytics, and your settings. And so to get started with Spreaker, you actually basically you create a new podcast. Very straightforward. There's nothing complicated here. So once you actually create the new, when you click on create new podcast, you will be taken to a page where you will need to fill out the podcast title, language, category, and access. You can also add the podcast artwork here. And so when you actually when you're done filling all the information, click create at the bottom of the page, and this is really fantastic. Okay, and it goes pretty fast too. I mean, in terms of UX and UI, really great. And so how do you actually record your podcast with Spreaker Studio? Well, to record on desktop, you'll need to download the Spreaker Studio application. Once you have created your podcast in your Spreaker CMS, you will see a gray button that says record episode. If you click this, you will be redirected to a download link to a Spreaker Studio. Now, the steps I'm telling you here are self-explanatory. So once you actually, this actually speaks to the power and the ingenuity of Spreaker in terms of a UX user experience, because everything is really pretty straightforward. You also are able to record your podcast with Podcast Studio by Spreaker. That's the mobile app, and this app is available on iOS and also Android. This is really good. You can also live stream with Spreaker, not a problem. So you can also, what I'm trying to say here is that you have all forms of, you have the ability to do all forms of capabilities through Spreaker. For instance, you can also migrate your podcast to Spreaker. This is really also great. You have RSS importer. You can also forward your old RSS feed, and you can also use Spreaker to distribute actually your podcast. So this is pretty straightforward. So long story short, you have an all-in-one sort of solution that allows you to do a lot of stuff. So let's talk about the rivalry here. So what are the rivals of Spreaker? I mean, they have a lot of competitors. Of course, they're not the only player in the industry. So when you think about Spreaker, I want you to think about Podbean, for instance. I want you to think about Anchor, for instance. I want you to think about SoundCloud. I want you to think about Buzz the Sprout. We have actually reviewed all of this hosting platforms on this show. And so when you first think about Spreaker versus Podbean, the biggest difference between Spreaker and Podbean is that the lowest paid tier of Podbean's subscription plan, this is actually called the Unlimited Audio, actually offers both unlimited storage and unlimited bandwidth. In addition, on the Unlimited Audio plan, podcasters gain access to the ads marketplace and pod ads, unlike Spreaker Premium. In addition, Podbean is set up for video and remote podcasting, although you need to be an Unlimited Plus subscriber to gain access to this feature. What about Spreaker versus Anchor? Again, the biggest contrast between Spreaker and Anchor is the functionality you get for free. So Anchor, which actually aims to quote-unquote democratize podcasting, offers, in our view, absolutely all of its powerful features for free, alongside unlimited hosting. And so when you really think about it, it's quite hard for Spreaker to really compete, okay? However, because of Anchor's Spotify affiliation, its podcast analytics and insights are less in-depth than other platforms. What about Spreaker versus SoundCloud? Well, when you think about SoundCloud, think about affordability. So for $16 to $20 a month, you are able to upload unlimited audio to SoundCloud. So when you really think about it, from a budget perspective, this is clearly a better program, a better plan, a better offering than Spreaker. And now SoundCloud is not built specifically with podcasters in mind, nor do you get a full management dashboard or creation suite dedicated to podcast creation. So for podcasters who are looking for a podcast-specific functionality, there is no doubt that Spreaker really wins out here. What about Spreaker versus Buzzsprout? Well, the biggest difference between Spreaker and Buzzsprout is podcast creation and editing capabilities. So Buzzsprout supports you in the post-production part of the podcasting journey, whereas a Spreaker is there for the creation part too. So a Spreaker, again, it's an all-in-one software tool. However, what we love about Buzzsprout is that they are fairly well priced too. So pretty fantastic. So what is our opinion here? So is it really worth it? Is Spreaker worth it? Yes or no? First of all, Spreaker really is worth it. Yes. Spreaker is not only part of iHeartMedia, one of the largest U.S. media conglomerates. So that means that you have quality there already. So this is not a this is a legit business. This is a legit company. As it is really worth it. So Spreaker actually covers all the bases from creation to distribution. It's really a 360 tool in our view. So for podcasters looking for a one-stop shop podcasting solution, Spreaker is a solid choice. If you're listening to me right now, whether you're an independent podcaster, whether you are a professional podcaster, or you're just a beginner and you want to have more information, it's a really Spreaker is a great tool to actually consider. Now, as I said earlier, when compared to other similar podcast hosting platforms, Spreaker is pretty expensive, okay? And because their basic subscription tiers just don't offer as much core functionality and are constrained by upload and storage limits. So for beginners or podcasters on a tighter budget, the likelihood is that they will get more value for money elsewhere. Equally, pro podcasters may find the lack of integrated functionality frustrating. So in combination with the inability to video podcast or let's say remote record in full HD, dedicated professionals are more likely better off looking at other options. But really, one thing I want to say here is that we will recommend Spreaker, hands down, not a problem. It is a reliable, all-in-one solution for podcasting, especially as you move further up in the subscription plans. Okay, mid-range podcasters who value convenience and have a slightly bigger budget will actually see all their needs met with Spreaker. So this is really good. So we love the fact that Spreaker comes with a mobile app for both listeners and podcasters. It integrates with the Headliner app. Okay, so you are able to use this tool for transcribing your episodes. You are able to also do a podcast monetization. You have a native integration with Patreon. So you have a lot of stuff. So this is really cool. Thank you so much for your attention. I really appreciate it. This was a Spreaker review. Let me quickly recap to this conversation for you. So I gave you the overview, the pro tips, the cost, the pros and cons, the features, the setup, the rivalry, and our opinion. Thank you so much. God bless you. I'll see you next time. Until then, remember, stay marvelous.